Are you ready? Oh, I'm ready. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Are you ready?
Let's do this.
Let's do this thing, man.
The League Podcast.
Yeah.
What's up, everybody? You got Dylan and Jay here with the League Podcast.
That's right.
All right, guys. Like we said, we're coming at you today with our streamers. Today we're covering quarterbacks, tight ends, and defenses. Tomorrow we'll cover running backs and wide receivers. So
Stay tuned.
yeah, absolutely. We're going to get into business today. It's a beautiful day. Ready to rock and roll. Ready to win some weeks for you guys.
Time to dominate
Time
your
to
leagues.
dominate
All right, hit
your
you with the
leagues.
hot facts because, like we mentioned in our other podcast, 6 teams on a bye week this week. So there's going to be some people that are hanging out on that waiver wire that you're going to be able to just snag up and plug and play, and possibly even drop next week. You know, it's just those guys that are hit or misses, but we think might flourish this week. So I think we start diving right into things. Well, before that World Series game last night, that was insane. I don't know how many people watched that, but oh my God, that's baseball at its finest right there.
That is what you love about playoff baseball, man. Like, I don't watch baseball throughout the year, honestly, unless I go to a game, but it was amazing. I mean, I think I watched the 8th inning or the 9th inning on, so I got the best part of the game. I didn't have to watch the beginning of it at all. And it was amazing. It was great. So what an ending.
I thought Dodgers had it in the bag. I watched most of the game. That's what I think everyone calls a slugfest.
I think they hit the most home runs and
it was like a home run derby. It was a fun game to watch, man. I'm excited for the rest of the series. 1-1 going to Houston. But anywho, let's get into some football talk.
Absolutely.
Let's start them off. What are we doing? Quarterbacks first?
Yes, but first, before anything, guys, follow us on social media at The League Pod. Once again, at The League Pod. That's 2 E's in the. And on YouTube, subscribe to us so you can watch our videos and, really get this information. You can go to our social media sites and click on the links to go to YouTube, but might as well just subscribe so you can just
get all the alerts. It pops up.
Absolutely.
You get them most up to date, and we plan on putting out subject matter as soon as it comes out, day of, and so if you listen to it, you could be the first on some trendy players to grab or snatch or drop or any of that. So.
Absolutely, and why don't we cover Martavis Bryant, actually, because we did talk about him last podcast about...
Yesterday. It's funny how in a day how things can change. Before Mike Tomlin and Martavis spoke to each other, we were like, Juju's in concussion protocol. He might not play. Martavis could actually maybe flourish this week among, all the stuff that's been going on. But you look at what Martavis has been doing to that organization, man. He's been stirring up so much unnecessary nonsense that, Mike Tomlin doesn't want to be distracted by that. So it all makes sense. And at the end of yesterday, we found out that Martavis Bryant is now demoted to the practice squad. Won't even be playing on Sunday, obviously. And Juju Smith-Schuster is now a full participant in practice, and now I'm thinking Juju's the guy to grab. He's the guy that could actually do work this week in that Steelers offense as a flex play.
I don't know how well the pass game will be against the Detroit Lions because they have a pretty solid defense.
You're scared of Ben on the road.
I'm not scared of him. I just think he's not good on the road. So I think the Lions put up a pretty good fight. So Juju, pick him up, play him if you want to, but I just don't know how well that passing game is going to do against the Lions, but we'll see. Why don't we get into our streamers? Let's go quarterbacks first. What do you say?
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool.
Let's start him off with, I think, Josh McCown. Josh McCown's somebody who's still owned in 20% of leagues. Obviously, name-wise, no one wants him. I mean, it's just somebody that is not appealing to want to grab, but actually, he's been doing really well. In the last 2 games alone, he's combined almost scored 60 points. I think it's 58 or 59 points.
He's a number 13 quarterback in fantasy football right now. So
he's top 15 in passing yards throughout the NFL and touchdowns. And he's going against what we've seen as a skeptical Atlanta D when it comes to their pass defense. So I think Josh McCown is an easy plug and play this week if you're desperate for a quarterback. And he's available, like I said, on 20% of those waiver wires. So that's somebody. And I think, too, wide receiver-wise, we'll get into tomorrow about some, guys you could possibly sneak into your lineup with feeling kind of comfortable with Josh McCown at the helm. So.
Yes, sir. And ASJ's his boy, and he's my boy. But I'm going to actually be talking about another streamer tight end later that I'm starting over Austin Swearingen-Jenkins today. But
Uh-oh.
I agree. Josh McCown, I think he's been pretty solid. He's been pretty consistent. I mean, in the last 2 games, he's gotten 25-plus points for fantasy owners. So fire him up. Fire him up. He might be the streamer of the year, to be honest with you.
Hands down.
So,
like I said, people just don't like him because of his name. Like, his name is not appealing. He's not somebody that you can think that is going to flourish in fantasy football, and he's been steadily cruising, putting up points. So.
Seriously, though, and I mean, his weapons are stepping up. Like you talked about, Robbie Anderson's been pretty quietly good. I mean, he's been inconsistent, just like Josh McCown has this year, but with those matchups that, you're aware of, then McCown, he's been good against the bad teams and been not too good against the good teams. So this is one of those teams that you could feel pretty confident in him, at least giving you 15-plus points.
Oh, yeah,
He's
easily.
definitely a fill-in for the week. But, yeah, if you need a quarterback and Josh McCown's out there, might as well give him a shot.
I think so.
Yeah.
Who do you got?
Next on my list is he's been kind of up and down this year. People have said stream him, and he has kind of let you down a little bit. It's Case Keenum for the Minnesota Vikings. They've got a pretty solid offense, and I think we both saw that Stephon Diggs was a full participant, and he traveled with the team to London. So it's looking good for Stephon Diggs and also Case Keenum, because when they did play together in a full game, he had 30-plus points in that game. Case Keenum did. So, and Stephon Diggs was I think he was the best receiver in fantasy football until he got hurt. So
yeah,
he's amazing, and he's just gotten better and better every year. So with Stephon Diggs out there, it makes Case Keenum such a
bigger weapon.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, Adam Thielen's been really good this year. Kyle Rudolph has had his up and down games, but now they're starting to get the running game not only with McKinnon but with Murray too. So the offense is really starting to come into its own again, and the Browns are just not good.
Yeah,
especially on defense.
Browns have averaged 21.3 points to opposing quarterbacks in fantasy football. So I think with the addition of Diggs back, they're going up against a weak Browns defense, who now we know Myles Garrett is not even traveling with the team. So I feel like once Myles Garrett came to the team, all of a sudden their rush defense got much better, and obviously the applying pressure to the quarterback got a lot better too. So without Myles Garrett, I'm a lot more comfortable even with this Vikings offense, with firing up Casey Keenum, Stephon Diggs back in the mix. I mean, come on. What we've seen out of Stephon Diggs this year has been ridiculous. It sucks the Vikings are facing so many injury problems this year, one after another. But they're also in the Packers division, so it's not too bad. But so I like it. Casey Keenum's definitely a start this week.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, when Andy Dalton played the Browns, he threw for 4 touchdowns. I mean, he had an amazing game that week. I don't know. I might roll with Andy Dalton this week too. If
yeah, that's another one of your streamers.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, he obviously has had some up and down games, but once they fired their offense coordinator and made what's his name, Lazier or whatever,
Bill Lazor, I think.
He's done well. Last week obviously wasn't a down game against the Steelers, but Steelers have the number 1 pass defense in the league, and the Colts actually have one of the worst pass defenses in the league. So
Steelers,
yeah,
I like them this week.
We'll probably be talking about them a little bit later, but yeah, I definitely like Andy Dalton this week against the Colts. The Colts have not been good. They have not been good whatsoever. So fire him up. Fire up AJ Green. And then fire up some tight end that I'm going to be talking about later, which I'm sure you all know about.
AJ Green is going to be a top 3 receiver this week, in my opinion.
I agree. I think if you play DFS, I definitely think that Andy Dalton and AJ Green are a nice little stack for you.
Dynamic duo.
Yeah,
right there.
Absolutely. So
especially this week, obviously.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Those are your nice streamers. I have also one more that I'd like to add on, who we talked about our last podcast if you listened, so I won't elaborate too much, but Mr. Matt Moore. Miami Dolphins, obviously, who came in for injured Jay Cutler, has a nasty, crazy chemistry with Kenny Stills, as he's proven, and Jarvis Landry. They both flourished last week as soon as he came in. I think that he's somebody playing, obviously, a skeptical Baltimore D, who's a decent pass defender, but I think that he has the weapons around him to actually get this job done. We talked about Laramie Tunsil possibly not playing, so that is a bit effective. on what he can do, but he releases the ball pretty quick, and he throws it down the field to his receivers. So I think that there could be some potentially big plays, and we spoke about earlier, Dill, about if this is not a low-scoring game, because I also, too, on the defense might have somebody from one of these matchups on the streamers. But if it's not a low-scoring game, then we both think that Miami is the team that scores quite a few points on that offense and maybe even defensively too. So
Yeah,
I like Matt Moore this week, and we'll see what comes when Jay Cutler gets back, because I think he might be coming back next week. But
Yeah,
if they keep the ball rolling, what if they blow out the Ravens tomorrow, or tonight? Excuse me. Or though Joe Flacco, everyone's been so down on. I think he's not an elite quarterback. I've been talking gang of crap on him, and John Harbaugh just released that we're in store for a big next few weeks to come, and whatever from.
He has a lot of things.
Joe Flacco, we're excited. Supposedly, John Harbaugh says you should be excited to see.
So someone really sneaky tonight is Joe Flacco.
Yep,
he is someone that if you are desperate and you're playing someone that they have Tom Brady or one of those quarterbacks that's going to score 20+ points, then fire up Joe Flacco.
Fire him
He
up.
might give you 8 points, but he can also give you
20+.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
What do you know? Joe Flacco might be back on the map, but that is a bold, extremely crazy statement. But
it is.
At the same time, he's proven to be an MVP of the Super Bowl performer before. So I mean, he could do it, but that's out there. That is way out there. I like the Dolphins tonight, so I'm rolling Matt Moore a bit confidently if I have to plug and play. But Joe Flacco, if you want to put pedal to the metal and hoping for the best, put him in.
Put him in. I mean, honestly, I'm playing Carson Wentz against the 49ers this weekend. I'm looking at my watch thinking I've got about 30 minutes till game time, and I might throw him in there. I have Russ Wilson, but he's playing a Texans defense that has been up and down, so they could have a good game, they could have a bad. You never know.
You never know. So that's our streamers for this week, quarterback position wise. Obviously, we're gonna do the running back receivers next episode, so we're gonna jump now into tight ends, and so I think tight ends are obviously they're a lot of streamers that you can pick week to week. It's tough to say, but I think we got some guys that you could put in your lineup and feel pretty comfortable about putting them in.
Yeah, I mean, I got Jared Cook first and foremost. He is taken in a lot of leagues, but if he's available, last week he had a 6 reception, 7 target, 170-yard game, almost caught the winning touchdown of the game.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing catch. I mean, we've seen him have really good hands, but we've also seen him inconsistent on the Rams and the Packers and drop passes. But last week, the Redskins tore apart. Not the Redskins. The Buccaneers. I'm sorry, the Buccaneers tore apart the Bills.
Yeah, that's right.
And, I'm sorry, O.J. Howard had 6 receptions for 98 yards and 2 touchdowns, and Cameron Brate had 6 receptions for 60 yards. So, they got torn apart. Their defense against tight ends is not good. I think that Jared Cook does have a pretty good game, especially because they are focusing on the receivers in Amari Cooper and Michael Crabtree, especially after last week with Amari going off. They're going to have to key on him a little bit more. They're not going to be able to just think they can put one guy on him. So Jared Cook, I think he's definitely someone that you can roll with and feel really comfortable about, because I do like the passing attack for the Raiders right now with Carr getting back into the groove. So, yeah, I think Jared Cook is definitely someone to throw in your lineup if you need him.
Absolutely. Derek Carr is elite. He has young pieces around him. He does spread the ball around quite a bit, but you saw the production from Cook last week, and I think they definitely keep the ball rolling. I like it.
Yeah, yes, sir. Who do you got this week?
I got somebody who 2 weeks ago had a very low game. I've been pretty high on him all year, just seeing at the beginning of the year he made a ridiculous one-handed catch. A.J. Derby, tight end for the Denver Broncos. He's somebody that if you have a tight end on a bye week and don't have someone else on your bench and are desperate, I think you could pick up and play. He had 7 targets last week, caught 6 of them for 66 yards. He didn't get in the end zone, but if he does get in the end zone, that helps, I guess, anybody. In
yeah, absolutely. And that's what you're hoping for with the streamer. You're hoping that they do score touchdowns. So you want that high upside in touchdowns. So, like you said, I think he's definitely got an opportunity to do that this week, and he has shown flashes. But
with Emmanuel Sanders now out too, that's one less guy who on their team that obviously flourishes. So he's gonna Simeon's gonna have to pick up some of this, or he's gonna have to throw other places to pick up some of the slack, and also. We'll get to him tomorrow, so I guess I'll have to hold out on that other guy. You guys might know, but I do like A.J. Derby this week. Simeon's going to have to throw him the ball. They're playing a Kansas City defense who, hey, always has sounded good, and I'd be scared of, but I don't think they're anything to be scared of at this point. They've been scored on quite a bit these last few weeks, and I feel like Broncos have a bounce back after a rough week and get it going. I don't think they win, but I think Derby has production, so... It's a good stream for me.
Yeah, and someone that I actually picked up in my league personally, and I'm starting him. I'm rolling with Tyler Kroft. Ever since Tyler Eifert has been deemed injured or on the injured reserve, Tyler Kroft has been pretty consistent. I guess not super consistent, but he's had up and down games where, I've been pretty impressed with. I mean, he gets targets, he catches the ball, he has a really high catch rate, which is awesome.
Dalton looks at him in the red zone.
He does. He's already gotten 3 touchdowns in 4 games, so I like it. I mean, a couple weeks ago it was 6 receptions, 68 yards, and 2 touchdowns, and last week it was 4 receptions for 28 yards and 1 touchdown. So obviously the yardage isn't there, but it's kind of what Austin Siberian-Jenkins is getting. Really short passes. He's catching a decent amount, but it's not for a lot of yardage, and you're praying for a touchdown. And I think that Tyler Kroft has a really good opportunity this week against the bad Colts offense. I talked about Andy Dalton earlier about streaming him because of the terrible pass defense for the Colts, but that also includes Tyler Kroft, who's, like you said, become a really big target in the red zone for Andy Dalton. So I'm rolling with him this week.
Yeah, and like we said, that plug-and-play guy, you just want them to score. We know he can score, so... Definitely like him in lineups this week, and I know you've been high on him the last couple of weeks, and granted, he's scoring touchdowns, he's getting looks, so
he's proven me right multiple weeks in a row, and he's one of those guys that you just want to grab before he does consistently do this, and you regret not picking him up when you wanted to. And right now, I'm holding 2 tight ends on my team, and I don't really truly believe in that, but the tight end position is so weak, man, that if you don't have one of the top guys...
Unless you have Zach Ertz.
Exactly.
Unless you have Zach Ertz.
Exactly. And at that point, I don't. And Austin Siberian-Jenkins, like last week, he's been very consistent, but last week, if he didn't score a touchdown, he might have lost me the game. So I'm trying to go with matchups and trying to play the best players in that week, not just season long. Like, I'm not just going to play... I'm going to play a stud if you're a stud, but Austin Siberian-Jenkins is definitely not a stud, and Tyler Kroft definitely could have a better week than him. So
cool. So I got 2 more, but I'm leaning more towards Nick O'Leary, honestly, because I don't think Clay's gonna play. And I don't know. And I think honestly, I'm picking Nick O'Leary because I think Tyrod Taylor has a good week. I think Tyrod Taylor has a good week, which means that Nick O'Leary in that passing, he's going to have to get it to somebody. Jordan Matthews hasn't been doing much, and that obviously leads to who we spoke about yesterday, Deontay Thompson, who I really love, and I think you should pick him up if you have the opportunity and the space on your roster. But Tyrod Taylor has a good week, which leads me to Nick O'Leary, I think, flourishing with Clay out. And who do they play? I'm having a
Raiders.
So look at that. Raiders defense we know is weak at best. So they can get scored on. I like Nick O'Leary this week, but only as a 1 week probably play because Charles Clay will be back soon. So and the other guy I did have is Kittle, from George Kittle from San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah, and I got him on my list as well. And I mean, I've talked about him multiple times in our past podcasts. Just the biggest thing that I talk about is that connection with Bethard. Mm-hmm. They were roommates in college. I mean, these guys are friends. So
they're boys.
When you're friends, just like, when we played high school football, it's like you're going to look at the guys that you trust. And, you trust your friends more than anything. So
rookie quarterbacks trust their tight ends more than anything.
Absolutely.
Let alone being one of your best friends. So that's
And Kittle has had some good stat lines,
Totally.
He has had up and down weeks, but even last week against the 49ers are playing the Eagles, and we talked about this again yesterday, that Vernon Davis and Jordan Reed tore up the Eagles' defense. Like, they couldn't get anything else really going except for their tight end production. Yep. So I'm rolling with him. I am seriously playing him and playing him with confidence this week against the Eagles because, like we talked about, the Eagles are going to get up early and fast, so they're going to have to throw the ball. So there's plenty of opportunity. I think he gets plenty of targets, and if he catches the ball, then he'll put up a decent stat line.
Totally.
So, yeah, man.
And that leads kind of wrapped around to last week, Vernon Davis flourishing. I think Vernon Davis is also available in leagues. And if you need to, if those guys are gone, because those are kind of higher, they are higher names, Croft. And if people need tight ends, they're going to gear towards getting those guys. So if you need to, Vernon Davis too, man, is someone you can stream. So there's a lot of tight ends that you can look towards this week with all these teams on a bye week. And maybe to flourish in the future as well.
Season long. I mean, like Tyler Croft. I truly believe that he could produce for the rest of the year. That offense loves to throw the tight ends. Tyler Eifert, when he's healthy, he's a top 5 tight end.
Totally.
And I'm not saying he's Tyler Eifert, but he's tall, he's athletic.
He's a Tyler.
He is, and his name is Tyler. So he's pretty similar to him in stature and in his name. So, let's roll with him. And if he messes us, if he does bad and messes up this week, then drop him. It's pretty simple. This is someone that you stream.
Yeah.
I'm not saying someone that expect to be the best player in the league. I'm just saying, play him this week. He'll get you points. Do what you want after that. Let's go to defense now. What do you say?
Yep.
I got a few defenses here, and the first one we kind of talked about earlier is the Dolphins. And after seeing how highly Harbaugh's talking about his quarterback, it kind of makes me nervous. And I mean, yeah, every coach is going to talk about their players like that, but usually when they talk about them before the game,
there's a niche.
There's a niche, and they come out, and now I think, honestly, that Joe Flacco has a game. I think he has the best game that he's had all year long, and it's kind of turning me off to the Dolphins.
Thursday Night Football, make a statement.
Everyone won the Super Bowl.
Is down.
That is the
and
biggest
out.
stage the entire year, and he won.
knows pressure.
He can handle the pressure, so... Man, I don't know. Dolphins definitely have a lot of upside, though. They could score you 20 points easily. But, like I said, the whole Harbaugh thing, it's making me kind of push off on them. So I'm not as high on them after seeing that alert, 15, 20 minutes ago.
Makes it tough.
It does. But if someone has the Vikings defense against the Browns and they're going to just tear them up, you might want to roll with the Dolphins and hope for that 20-point game.
Exactly. It's so defenses, in my opinion, are the most inconsistent position this year in fantasy football. Like
they always are, though.
I know, but I feel like 2 years ago, you had Denver Broncos or Kansas City or any of those defenses. Seattle. You were like, I'm good. I am set. You have defenses now with Denver and even Seattle, but Denver and Kansas City in general, who guys drafted not early, but
pretty
earlier. Because that's what you have to draft. Those kind of defenses, those kind of caliber defenses, and they are not producing under 10 points all the time, and that's tough. That's hard. So and then you have all these random defenses scoring 20 plus here, 20 plus there, 30 there. It's insane.
It's a crazy year this year with kickers and with defenses.
It's totally DST. So and kickers.
So I mean, Dolphins have won 3 in a row, so they are hot. That's why I do like them this week. They're also sixth in the NFL in scoring. So they're only allowing 18.7 points a game, and they're 10th in yardage allowed for the year as well at 308. So I think the Ravens have gotten over 300 yards one time this year. So the Ravens aren't producing offensively. They're not looking good. They look terrible, actually. So if they play the way they've played all year, Dolphins are...
Forget about it.
Forget about it, man. They are a top 5 play.
And Jarvis Landry is, I don't know if you saw that interview, but he said, do not sleep on us. They've been traveling. Yeah. They've had 60,000 plus miles in the air. In the offseason, Miami moved their whole, every single family member on the team, they relocated them to Oxnard, California.
Yeah.
The whole team. So the whole team and whole families as well, everyone that was related to them relocated to Oxnard, California, which that alone, moving everybody, and then the traveling they've been doing, they've already played in London, they're on the road constantly. They're a tough team, and they're pulling off W's, so I like them to win tonight. But Joe Flacco, is it going to happen?
I don't know, man.
Do them if you got some huevos. Put them in.
I think I have some pretty big huevos, so I might roll with them. I might roll with them tonight.
We'll see. You're all bark, no bite.
Oh yeah, whatever, dude. If anyone gets crazy in our league and starts players because they have these high hopes on them, it's me.
True.
AKA Marlon Mack over Larry Fitzgerald when Larry Fitzgerald scored like 50 points or whatever it was, lost me the game. Anyways, let's move on.
Not to dwell on that though. So Miami. Hit or miss. What are you saying? Are you taking them as a stream or not?
I am, unless I start Joe Flacco tonight. If I start Joe Flacco tonight, then I'm taking him off my list. But as of right now, Joe Flacco is not starting for me. So, yeah, roll with the Dolphins.
So it looks like it's coming down to whether you feel like, not you, but the people listening, if you believe in Joe Flacco, do not pick up Miami Dolphins. But if you still are on that Joe Flacco is absolutely not elite anymore, grab those Miami Dolphins. They might have a lot of turnovers tonight. And Miami might even score a couple touchdowns on defense. Who knows?
Just like the Bears did against them.
Yeah.
So.
All right, man. Well, I'm moving on. I'm
Yeah.
going to go to the Pittsburgh Steelers. So we talked about them a bit yesterday, once again, in our podcast. But I was doing a little more research, and I'm liking them because of the fact they're playing Detroit. And you don't like the fact that they're playing Detroit, in Detroit, obviously. But
No. I like the defense.
You
It's
don't
the
like-
offense.
sorry, Ben Roethlisberger is
Yes.
playing there. Excuse me. But Steelers playing the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions, the last two games, the defensive teams that played them scored 32 points, the Saints, and 16 points. And then they've also given up 5+ sacks in the last 3 games. So I feel like that's a team 2 weeks in a row that they've been pretty beat up against the defense. So I like the Steelers coming off an amazing week last week. So I think Steelers definitely flourished this week. That's a team I'm picking up. I actually picked them up in our league, and I'm starting them this week with confidence.
And they've been pretty consistent. I mean, they put up pretty consistent points, and I mean, I feel like you can trust them as a defense, especially against the banged up Matt Stafford. Like we talked about, a rejuvenated Joe Hayden. I like the Steelers. I think it's a great choice. If they're out there, definitely top 5 play this week. Again, in my opinion.
So I mean, and if that's available, they are the defense number 5 in fantasy league. So I mean, they're available. They were available in our league, so I grabbed them. But if they're available, I think that's a snatch and play.
Yeah, absolutely. And pick up your black and yellow Steelers. They'll do some work for you this week. Good matchup. Another one that I have is the Saints. The Saints also have a good matchup against a young Mitch Trubisky. So they're hot too. Don't get me wrong. They've won 4 games in a row now.
The Bears.
The Saints.
The Saints.
Bears are 2 in a row, I think.
Yeah.
So they're both on winning streaks, but they are in New Orleans, and Drew Brees owns that city of New Orleans.
Mercedes-Benz.
Dude,
Dome.
he dominates every time he's home. I shouldn't say every time, but majority of the time he does. And the Bears have a great defense. They've been super, super under the radar, especially in the last few weeks when they are winning games. It's because of their defense.
Mm-hmm.
Mitch Trubisky completed, 4 passes last week, and they still won?
Yeah, they completed 4 passes and only threw the ball 7 times last week. So I really like the Saints defense this week, even though I just dropped them for Pittsburgh, because I've just been chasing defenses all year. Chased a 32-point game from the Saints. They put up 4 the week I grabbed them. So I'm just chasing like crazy. But I do like the Saints this week again because of the fact that Mitchell Trubisky didn't even throw the ball last week. He threw it less than 10 times. This week, Drew Brees is going to, I think, do damage, which means those Bears are going to have to unleash Mitchell Trubisky a bit to throw the ball, which then could be high potential for some turnovers because he's young. He could be thrown into coverage and not seeing everything like a vet, like a poised vet, like Aaron Rodgers.
And if they stop Jordan Howard, that's the key of the Saints defense. If they can stop Jordan Howard, it's over. Yeah. They are going to cause so many turnovers with Mitch Trubisky.
Defensive line for the Saints has been better. I mean,
absolutely.
They're definitely
their whole defense
stepping up.
I mean, even last week they held Brett Hundley to like 90 yards passing or something like that, or under 90 yards passing. So they just have to stop the run because Aaron Jones did have a really good game last week on them.
Yeah.
So
Aaron Jones has taken over that role in the
backfield.
Absolutely. I know that's a completely different subject, but that's my boy.
Yeah. So
shout out Aaron Jones.
I think the Saints are a great stream this week, and I mean it might be past the point of even streaming them and picking them up for the rest of the year because
100%.
They've shown that they can play good defense against good offenses as well.
They're at home. I mean, the matchup looks great.
Absolutely. So pick them up if you can, if you need someone. And then one defense I wanted to kind of touch base on, but they're not so much of a streamer anymore. They're a pretty actually solid defense as well as the Cincinnati Bengals. Last week was the worst week they had against the Steelers, and Steelers just were looking amazing. They were looking really good. But other than that, the Bengals have been very consistent on defense for fantasy purposes, and
that's even with Pac-Man Jones out.
Yeah, and I mean they're tied. They're tied with the Dolphins for only allowing 18.7 points a game, and they're actually 5th in the NFL with yards allowed 289 a game. So it's not like their defense is bad. It's just their offense isn't doing anything for them, you know?
And if that offense can get it going,
They
then
are dangerous.
That's a dangerous team. And we know, I mean, Bengals are
they're good.
dirty, nasty.
Yeah.
Well, technically dirty too.
Yeah.
Defensive team.
Monte's perfect kicking players.
But that was ridiculous. I
Come
can't
on,
believe.
man.
I don't think they even fined him or anything for that.
No.
He is such a dirty player. But we know that's a dirty defense in general.
Yeah.
Not dirty as in like bad, but dirty as in like they're a good force to be reckoned with.
Absolutely.
In that,
I mean, and
division.
over the years they've been consistent. They've been made the playoffs. What, like 4, 5, 6 years in a row now
And
because of their
that's
defense.
But because of their defense,
They lead the way, and Andy Dalton has played well, and they have AJ Green, but.
But they got to keep those guys healthy at the end of the year,
Absolutely.
and if they can keep their defensive healthy as well, I mean that's a scary team in playoff time. But I don't think if they don't get it this year, Marvin Lewis is the next guy gone.
Oh, for sure. I think he's done at the end of the year, anyways. Unless they do come around,
Make a playoff
make
run
the playoffs and actually
get past
win in the
first game in the
I don't
playoffs.
think they've ever won in the playoffs, and
Never.
they've made it multiple years in a row. So
However long Marvin Lewis has been with them.
yeah, Andy Dalton never won in the playoffs. So
Rough.
that's
see.
tough.
So I do like Bengals D. I had them also this year, but they are just one of those teams that score right around 10 points every time.
They're averaging
which
like 6 to 10. Or
you
whatever
can
it is.
take that because teams are literally scoring negative points right now. You're like it's happening. So I'm liking the consistency with the Bengals as well.
Yep, and that's it for me. I'm done.
Me as well. I'm excited for getting into those running backs and receivers for you guys.
Yeah, those are always fun, and we'll
This
probably have a
week.
little bit more of each position because that's the best position.
Those are the ones. Those are the fun positions. I
Yeah.
mean, these are fun too, obviously, and I think they put up points. So
And there's
grab
just
some
so
of them.
many of them. There's so many of them that you can play. So it just gives you a lot of options. And
Hopefully, our feedback helps.
yeah,
Our
absolutely.
input help.
Play Joe Flacco, and if you don't, then hope the Dolphins shut him down.
Exactly. Well, we'll see you guys soon. Please again follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all at The League Pod. That's 2 E's, The League Pod. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Get the alerts so you can have all the latest, greatest fantasy football, NFL news. Dill, I always have a pleasure. I'm looking forward to doing this again very soon.
Let's get her done, man. Let's do it. See you later, guys.
What did I do? What did I do? The league, huh?